Good morning, weekend warriors, and welcome back to the workshop. It's Christmas Eve, and I got a couple gifts to deliver. I've had some questions or requests on clarification for registering screens for multicolor prints. So as it relates to the 3-point magnetic registration system. So we're going to do a little bit of that. I'm going to give a quick demonstration and tutorial. We've also got the request for actually printing with some of the stuff. So I'm going to pull a couple of shirts with a design I've been working on, and we're going to print some hats. So we're actually going to print for real using the T-press. And then I've got one more accessory to add to the stable, because I've been consolidating the bits and pieces I've built for screen printing over the last couple of years. And I ran across one more bulky thing that's been kind of in the way, and it's taking up space, and I decided to convert it so it works with the T-press, so I can get rid of a whole nother base and just keep the operational portions. So that's it. We got things to do, we got places to go, so let me reconfigure the garage, and I'll get right back to it. So here we are, we got the hat platen set up on the lowboy press. You see I've got the magnetic registration cap on board. I have my screen, same one that I used the last time. It held up very nicely through washout, so I'm just going to use it again. This time I have actual real hats to print on. So we're going to get all set up here. First thing I'm going to do, I took the cardboard form out of the front. I'm going to fold the sweatband down. Mount the whole kit and caboodle on the platen. And put my visor clamp on. That'll hold it nice and flat. I've got to move it over a little bit because I didn't quite get it centered. Alright, that should give me a nice flat surface to print on. It's still not centered. Still getting used to this thing. Like I said, this is the first real print that we're doing. Now this time I may be doing as many as 3 hats, depending on how this works out on the first try. Alright, pulled them out. Let's forget what I'm going to do with that thing when I'm done. And there's the first one. These are pretty stiff 6-panel hats. There's the second one, nice and happy. Turn it the right way for you to see. He's dropping his clamp. Just wanted to check my camera there, make sure I was still getting it. Okay, there's number 3. Happy, happy, happy. Alright, so much for hats. Now we're going to do a quick t-shirt that I set up yesterday as a promise to a friend of mine. And then we'll look at a quick bit of registration tutorial. So, I'll be back. Oh, before I forget, the setup. Now, you know I mentioned I'm doing this on the low boy press. And I'm using the registration bar off of the tall boy press. Underneath the registration bar, I've got another support bar. As a matter of fact, I've got 2 1x5s, and they're acting as an 1.5-inch spacer to bring this level up to the same level as the platen itself. Now, also, it's going to stick out an extra 1.5 inches here because it's going to support my screen. It's going to support the screen by resting on the tuners on the screen. So providing support at this end as well as the support at the other end for the platen. And now to attach the hat platen to this press, instead of putting the capture arms on the side, still haven't figured out exactly what to call those things, but like on the tall boy press, the platens have the 2 arms on the side, then they rely on the bolt going through the platen arm. Well, I just put a little slot down the middle of the platen arm on this one and used the same 2 mounting holes that I used with the tabletop press. So that works out really good. It gives me adjustability back and forth. It centers it the way I want it to be centered, so you can't ask for too much more than that. Alright, now we'll get on to the other matters. Okay, now we're all set up in t-shirt mode, and once again, this is my low boy press, or low boy T press, whatever we're going to call it this week. And I'm only doing a single shirt, so, you know, if you want to do it just by holding it against the breadboard, be my guest, but I'm not going to do that because I want to show off a couple of things here. So I'm going to tack up my board a little bit here. And on goes my t-shirt. it just me, or is the first t-shirt load always the toughest? There we go. Alright, where did I set my screen? It's just here a second ago. Ah, it's in the screen holder. Who would figure? Okay, I'm positioned right where I want to be. On my screen there's my design. This is another version of the XAxis. Seen that bumper sticker, I'm sure. Well, this one is a little bit different. Alright, on the screen I put about 1/8 inch off contact bars. I know I'm already centered and where I want to be because I set that up off camera. So now it's just time to print using this thing. Now, notice, we're not going anywhere unless I give a twist or I really tweak on this thing. Once I've got it set up against those magnets, it's not moving. You know what, since I want to keep this t-shirt, I think it might be a good idea to run a test print first, don't you? Okay, t-shirt's on. Now it's time for the screen. And there we go. There's my shirt. I'm happy with it. Now I got to take a picture of it, and let's make sure that it's looking good there. I already lost my upper camera, so I'm trying to do this with just the one camera here, and we'll go on across it. Oops, there we go. There we go, and like I said, I'm only pulling one of these. Well, maybe I'll pull another one, just cause. Alright, now it's quick registration tutorial time for use with the 3-point magnetic registration method. Okay, you see on the platen I placed my film positive. Now, quite often I'll just print out, copy this onto a sheet of white paper, but I'm having a little bit of trouble getting things to line up when I do it onto the paper this morning, so I'm just going to use my film positive. You'll notice on the film positive there are registration marks, or bullseyes. So these are going to help me set up my images. So the first one we're going to look at is my all white. It would have been my underbase for a multicolor on a black t-shirt. So once again, we've got everything on there, and I'm going to have to back the camera up. So there we go. There. Alright, so now we've got the registration mark that matches the registration mark down on the paper. I put the image about where it needs to be on the t-shirt. Matter of fact, I put it where it needs to be on the t-shirt. And my platen is kind of marked out to help me along there. So now to register the screen, I put it over and I look down and I look through my registration marks. Now, it just happens that this one's not too bad. From the look of it,
I need to move it outward just slightly. So I need to move it that way. And that is about all I need to do with it. Maybe a little bit that way. So to move in the Y or the X-axis, Y-axis, pardon me. Y is this way, X is this way. So to move in the Y-axis, I use the two side knobs here, the right and left. And I'll adjust them together to go outward, or unscrewing them. And if we watch carefully, you can actually see the image move underneath. Alright, now down at the bottom it needs to go this way. Up the top here it needs to swing this way. Even though my registration marks are nearly perfect. So I want to kind of swivel it a little bit. Well, to do that, I'm going to push out on this one and pull in on this one. So opposite directions, just a little bit. Let's see, pushing out on this one, pushing in on this one. Okay, just a little bit further. Now I'm just looking at the image of the film positive through the screen as I press down here. And just a little bit farther still. Alright, now I've got everything lined up in the Y-axis. Now I just need to slide it over a little bit in the X-axis. I'm still seeing just a little bit of white through the M here. I see my black marks for my registration marks sitting off to the side. So I want to shift it that way. To do that, I work with the X-axis adjustment.
And I've tightened this thing down pretty good in here, so I'm going to loosen it up. There we go. Now, adjusting the X-axis, I use the center adjustment. And I'm going to push out a little bit. And if you can see it, there we go. Top registration mark is perfect. Bottom two registration marks are perfect. This print is lined up perfectly on the film positive.
So this one, once again, would be my white screen. It provides the underbase. When I press down and look through the image, there's no white showing inside the area that should be blacked out. So it means I'm perfectly lined up on the image that's underneath. Now, last time I did a run, this was my red screen. And this is my good old UDO screen inside of a home-built wooden frame. And you can see it's kind of far out of kilter here. My registration mark is going that way, catty-cornered. So I need to move the whole screen over this way and in a little bit. So this time I'm going to start with the X-axis, and this one I don't have a wing nut on, so I'm just going to use my ratchet on the nuts that are on the end. And to go in, I'm going the wrong direction, so see, I want to move it that way, but I need to push it out right. Okay, and I'm just going to watch it adjust as I go here. And hopefully this camera is catching the registration mark here. Okay, now I'm perfectly lined up side to side on the registration mark.
looks like I'm lined up perfectly side to side on the letters also. So now I just need to move it inward.
So I'm adjusting my two Y-axis adjustments. Hopefully the same amount as I go. Almost there. Shoot. Yep, almost. Just like half a millimeter left to go. And perfect. So now I've got my red lining up over in the spot it needs to be, where it won't overlap the white or the edges. And that's all there is to registration. Having the registration marks on the screen is almost a must. You can do it by lining up the image, but I like to have the registration marks there. It takes the guesswork out. And then when you go to print, all you do is tape over them or put block out on them. I put tape on them myself, and it works out real good. So there's the whole mystery behind registering different colors. I've got a screen for red, I'll have a screen for white, I'll have a screen for black, and each one gets registered to the same image to position it where it needs to be. That way when I pull the colors end up where they need to be. 3 adjustments. X-axis is in the center, pushes it side to side. 2 Y-axis, push it in and out and allow you to do cantilever movements. If there's any more questions, send me an email. I'll be more than happy to answer.
All right, back again, and now we've got the last accessory I built for this thing. Actually, I took one of my old projects and modified it to work with the T-press, and that is my Franken heat press, which is basically just a Presto griddle turned upside down. The mounting feet have been tapped out to accept a 5/16 bolt, and basically I use this for curing my my water-based sinks. I let the water-based sink dry, or I'll take a heat gun and I'll get it dried up, and then for a final heat cure I use this griddle. Another guy was selling this thing as something like this as a heat press. Well, yes, it is hot. You can press with it, and I imagine you can do some transfers, but I haven't tried it, and I don't think it'll be that great for that. But it works great for curing ink. So you see, I've got the XAxis shirt that I pressed this morning, or printed this morning. Now what I'm doing is I'm laying a polyester sheet over it, which is basically cut out of an old polyester sheet. Going to do a quick check on the temperature, and I'm sitting about 350 degrees across the expanse here. So I'm just going to drop it down for 10 or 15 seconds. I don't have it actually making a lot of contact, so let's just hold on to it for about 10 seconds. 1001, 1002, 1010. Lift it off. And I'm sitting just under 300 degrees all the way across. My ink is still a couple hundred degrees, but that should be all it took to heat cure this Speedball or Jacquard water-based ink. So I got 2 more to do. 2014, 2015. Beautiful. Just like going to the dry cleaners and getting something pressed. Oh, that's toasty warm. And there we go. A completed XAxis t-shirt. A completed heat press accessory to go on the T-press. Now let's look at this here real quick. I already described the main part. Let me shut it off. Alright, the main part is the Presto griddle. Put on a board. I have a couple pieces of 2x4. Actually, this is more like 2x3. A little anti-wobble piece up here. Onto the classic T-press cap mount. And then the platen is a little bit more than 3/8, maybe 5/8, maybe ½ inch. All it is MDF. Then with the clamp type securing for the platen. Just a handy little thing to have now. And there we have it. We've had a productive Christmas Eve 2012. For those of you celebrating Christmas, Merry Christmas to you. We got to press some hats, we got to print some shirts, and we got to add one more accessory to the arsenal, a heat press, a curing press. I wouldn't call this a heat press that you're going to make money by doing transfers on it, but it works real good for curing water-based ink. That's about all we've got to go with today. So until we have another project, until you see me again, y'all keep up the good fight, and I'll see you later. Bye.